Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, The Weekend Games. Yet another week, yet another quarantine in this particular state I live in. We have not had a lot of motion in regards to loosening restrictions or guidelines. Everyone's hoping that June will start to see people being able to officially branch out, although there's been a lot of dissension and lots of people pushing against the tide to take advantage of the great weather, etc. So far, going well. I hope you're all healthy. We sure are. And yeah, let's get rolling. Get to the news. Okay. Some of you may have heard of a game called Frosthaven. This is a total knockoff on Gloomhaven with some overdone Frozen theme. Kidding. But actually, that made the most money of any Kickstarter game, I believe, is the official word on that one. And seriously, I backed it, of course, because I played Gloomhaven a bunch, had 2 copies of it, so that I could play with different groups. It was good. Frosthaven has the advantage, and this is something I'm excited about, of having sort of a Hall of Fame cast of designers who are contributing to creating scenarios for it. So it's not simply a one-man wrecking crew. It's actually a group of very well-known designers who've all jumped in to contribute. So I expect this to be, in some ways it reminds me of the board gaming equivalent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of thing, where we have all these great name brand people coming in to help out. So that's pretty exciting. We'll be looking forward to that next year. Hopefully we'll have that to look forward to instead of something involving Viri. The BGG, Board Gaming Geek 2019 awards came out. As always, they give a little extra time after the first of the year for all the late arrivals in 2019 to be fully played. This is a People's Choice kind of award, and it was no surprise that Wingspan pretty much swept the rug, swept the whole shebang. I've done sort of an alternative reaction to the awards earlier last week so if folks want to check it out. I mean, I don't really personally use awards to sway my gaming purchases, but I do know that some people will look at a box and go, oh, here's an award. Maybe that matters. So finally, in other news, Small World is doing a Warcraft theme. So Small World of Warcraft is going to make its way to our locales sometime middle of this year, it appears, and it's been touted and in discussions with the designer that it's not just a Warcraft slapped on theme where you're just replacing out the races of the original Small World with it, that they're actually trying to make real use of the Warcraft lore to make it compelling both for Warcraft fans and still compelling for Small World fans. So I played a ton of Small World for a couple of years, and then it kind of took a back burner. I kind of got tired of it. I might reignite my passion for it by doing that again this week. So, or when it comes out, I might give it a shot again. So I do like Warcraft. I do like Small World. Seems a good combo. And with that, let's get to my question of the week. So on the lines of discussion of awards or not awards or whatever, one of the questions that I got was what kind of games are insta rejects? Because I'm always using the word insta buys. Like coming soon is Tiny Epic Pirates is going to be kickstarting pretty soon, and I love pirate themes. You all know I love pirate themes. And so I was like, oh, it's insta-back, insta-back, insta-buy, insta-purchase. What does an insta-reject look like to me? And that was a very good question, because I always talk about all the games I like, but what are the types of games I don't? And so, being as positive as I can, I will go ahead and answer that. I don't think any of my insta rejects are because of quality games. They're just styles I don't necessarily like. One of them would be bartering and negotiation. I really don't like bartering or negotiation games. I'm not very good at it. I don't even like to haggle about anything. And so kind of because my own personality likes to just cut to the chase and say, will you or won't you? I don't really like many bartering negotiation games. So that's something that will almost always be a no-go for me. The other one is lying games. I am bad at them at times, and at other times I'm too good at them, and either way I don't like it. I just don't like games where you have to try and convince people of something that's not really true about you. There was a story. My one really avid gamer when she was 6 uh, was looking for games, and so I bought one from GameRite called Stone Soup. Stone Soup is about kind of convince people that you have ingredients you don't. It's similar to like Sheriff of Nottingham and others, where you're like trying to convince people of something that isn't entirely true. And we started playing this game. She played Rat-a-Tat-Tat, Sleeping Queens, Killer Bunnies, Kinder Bunnies, and then we got her into Dominion and stuff. But she played the game for about a minute, and then she put her cards down and she said, "Why would you make me play a game after all where we have to lie after all you've taught us about honor and integrity?" And she huffed off. And I'm like, okay. I actually thought, okay, yes, it's fun. Yes, you're not really doing it for real. But to a 6 or 7-year-old, it was real to her. And I'm like, yeah, you got a good point. I don't really like this anyway. I didn't really. We still have Stone Soup around somewhere. It's a fine game, but I'm just not very. I'm either not very good at it or too good at it, and either way, I don't like it. So those kinds of games are almost always an insta reject. And the other game is the other type of style, and this is a little more subtle than just an entire category. Is I don't like games where 90 to 100% of what you're doing is always at the mercy of the dice, where there's no mitigation or it's too simple of mitigation, where it just becomes a probability sheet. I know you can reduce games almost all any games that have dice can be reduced in a lot of ways to that. And I'm not against dice, not at all. But there are games that I think do a really good job. Nemo's War, I thought, did a really great job of giving you enough mitigators that the dice roll could be manipulated, or at least you felt some sense of control. I don't like games where it really is just, here's your stats. You throw this many dice, and if you got this or more, then it's a hit, or this or more, it's a miss. Those games are great in the past, but now I think I've seen so many good ways for dice to be used that still gives you a feeling that you are having some determination over it, that I don't really like those anymore, and I've kind of passed on those. The final one is I don't like games where you have no idea how to prepare for something that is going to happen to you adversely, and it'll happen no matter what. There was a game like Kingsburg. I really like Kingsburg, but I don't like that there are really small ways. There's, you have a vague, but in my opinion, too vague idea of what's going to happen when the attacks come. I don't know. When you have to prepare randomly, like I don't know which direction the enemy's coming, so I have to just kind of guess. I don't like that. I really don't. To me, I just call it crapshoot preparation, where you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I guess I just have to take a risk. But you make an ignorant risk, and that I don't like. And I think that I'm happy to see the games are kind of moving against that. Days of Fire or Days of Ire and Knights of Fire. Knights of Fire was particularly a good game that I know recently that gave you 3 out of 5 cards you knew about as far as things that were coming down the path. And that was great because that gave you at least some idea of making an informed choice with imperfect information that still could throw a wrench in the works, but it isn't an entirely wrench-throwing driven game where you have 5 cards, you don't know anything that's going to happen, and yet you have to go prepare for the unknown because you cannot prepare for all contingencies, and it's not fun for me to have to go, I don't know if my choices even matter. And there's nothing worse than finding out that you made preparations for something that you had no idea was exactly not what we're going to be hit with. Again, these are games where you have to kind of rely on hidden information that's going to happen, that's going to bite you. And so I really feel like those are kind of the 4 types of games that I've kind of grown away from that I don't think they're probably close to an insta-reject now without real compelling gameplay elements otherwise. So that's my long-winded question. What about you guys? What are games that you would say, I'm not going to really investigate this type of game any further because it's an insta-reject for me? So anyway, curious about your guys' thoughts too on that. So with that, time for 3 games. Terraforming Mars, a game that I played quite a bit for a couple months, And then I haven't played it very often since, but I've heard that Prelude kind of cuts to the chase and makes the gameplay a little tighter, so I tried that. I also have the latest Turmoil expansion, which I bought not necessarily because it has this other section, but because it has those awesome, sweet new boards where you can actually place your pieces and not have them slide around or have the cat knock them off. So Prelude. Dominion Menagerie. I bought all of the original Dominions up to like the 7th or 8th one, and then I kind of took a break because sometimes you can expand a game completely out of the realm of my desire. There are games where like you add enough expansion packs and it just encumbers it down to the point where I'm like, these are all great expansion packs, but I'm saturated. Menagerie was the first one that had animals, and animals of interest to people like my wife, and so we're going to try this game, Menagerie, and might end up backfilling some of the ones I missed, like Dark Ages, and I guess there's a couple other ones that came out since. So, and finally, someone on the internet suggested that this was on sale, and it was on Amazon with same-day shipping. So Cartographers. I'm not really a roll and write guy, but I'm going to give this a chance because most of the roll and writes just kind of feel droll and wrong. So these, on the other hand, has a few things that might make it interesting. It plays 1 to 100. I would love to have known any group that's actually played a 100 player game of Cartographers. Please do tell. And with that, let's get to my alphabet soup. Okay, we are at S, the letter S. R was target rich with a lot of opportunities. S, even more so. And I'm afraid that in the letter S, there's going to be a ton of games that really deserve acclaim, but because there are so many games that start with S, it's going to be just, I can't choose them all. So, but these are the ones that really kick ass. Yeah, anyway, top of the line, no question, no ambiguity. Star Wars Rebellion with the Rise of the Empire expansion. It is the consummate, this is Star Wars in a box. It is absolutely positively top-notch in every possible conceivable way. It's not a game you'll play every day. It is many, many hours and many, many hours of play, but it does feel like it rolls on by. It's like watching an epic movie that takes 3.5 hours, but it's done well enough that you don't notice it going by, whereas any Hallmark movie that's 20 minutes or more long feels like eternal damnation. Bottom of the barrel. This one, I have a lot of friends who like this one, so I don't say this lightly, but it's Skull, or as I call it, the coffee coaster game. I hate Skull. I hate it. 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 It just is not for me. But hey, lots of people like it. My friends like it. They bring it out. It's a filler. It's an excellent time for me to look at it and go, coffee coaster. I'm going to go get coffee. You guys play. Came out of nowhere. Space Cadets Away Missions. Now, I played the original Space Cadets. I played both the very, very original turn-based game, the original real-time strategy game, the Space Cadets. Yeah, I forget the name of it, but the real-time and the Dice Duel, I think. Liked them both. I thought they were great. The limiting factor there was the amount of players required to play. This one was way off the beaten path of those games. This was more XCOM than anything else, and it was really, really good. So good that I have asked and begged and pleaded and demanded that they actually do some expansions for it, because it took the XCOM kind of factor, the sort of, years before we had Galaxy Defenders and Imperial Assault and all that. We had this game that did a touch-knop way of doing the tactical squad against the aliens, and the missions were great. It really felt like some love and attention was put into it, so rock on. I want to see more of it. Riches to Rags. This is got to go to Smash Up. I have almost every possible expansion to Smash Up, and again, this is one of those ones where you can expand it right into saturation to the point I don't want to play it anymore. Smash Up was really clever. A lot of times because of the mixing up of the different like ninjas and teddy bears and westerns and all that, which is great for a while, but then over time it just started feeling a little bit too just counting score kind of thing. It it didn't hold over the years. Still a great game. I recommend the original and even a couple expansions, but I just stopped keeping up with it. Even got the geeky big box, and I just stopped keeping up with it because in the end, it just kind of, you couldn't go too far. Not every great idea is a good idea. And this is one case where that show's true. Rags to Riches. Now, this is going to be a little interesting because I didn't not like this game. I actually thought it was a decent game. Space Empires 4 from GMT was a game that I thought was decent. I would probably put it at a 6, 6.5 at the time. Over time, with expansions, and even going back to the core without the expansions, I've now decided that I really like this game. Space Empires 4 has become one of the top 3 consummate space strategy exploration games that has just grown over time. Now, the Meaty Mighty Manwich game, and you're going to notice this, there's a stellar theme here, is Star Trek Frontiers. This is a retheming of Mage Knight. It simplifies some things and adds a few other things, and I think it's a great game in its own right without having to just be a Mage Knight retheme, which it's not. I'm more of a Star Wars and a Star Trek guy, but I think that they did an excellent job here of making a really pretty deep strategy game that's going to take a bit of time to build. Test of Time, that again is no contest. It is splendor. Now, this is not a game I love, but it is a game I've played hundreds of times. My wife has played it probably 1,000 times. It is a game that just continues to, despite being as simple as it gets, you just play it. It's a Zen-like experience that just goes on and on. Comeback Tour. I would love to see another version of Sid Meier's Civilization. I know there's Civilization games galore out there. I'm looking forward to Clash of Cultures, the redo. I liked Sid Meier's A New Dawn, except that it wasn't sufficient and they quit on it, at least for the moment. But Sid Meier's Civilization, I would love to see redone again. Something's simplified, something's expanded, but it is the closest thing to saying, let's take what Sid Meier's computer game is and put it out on the table. And I'd love to see a revisiting of that. Honorable mentions, I have to go. Theme, Spirit Island. Anytime when you're on an island trying to kick the insurgents, the humans out of there, is clever just by theme, and it too could have hit in any of those categories above as far as theme, innovation, just amazing, and great solo too. Artwork, Skull Tales, a game with astounding artwork, probably the most beautiful pirate game I own, even over Merchants and Marauders, with a dismally despondent rulebook and a really bad support of trying to get this awesome game going. I still have hopes that someday I'll extract enough out of it to finally get to playing it again, but oh, the artwork. And Scythe, I gotta hand it to Scythe. Scythe gives you artwork so distinctive that it is I could recognize it anywhere. Cleverness, I'm gonna add that one. There's 2 games that were really clever. SEAL Team Flicks is the cleverest flicking game you'll ever see. It's so flicking good. And Star Wars Outer Rim, which after all the other Star Wars games that try to be a little bit formulaic, almost Disney formulaic, and admittedly one of them at least is the greatest game that starts with an S that I've played. Star Wars Outer Rim is the opposite angular orthogonal experience that is truly going through and basically acting like a marauder. Now, it's almost Firefly in a box. I actually wish Firefly would do one of these too. It needs much, much more, but it comes with much, much, much. So, that's it. So I hope you guys had a great week. We will see you next time on Airbrain Games.